Hey YouTube, this is Nashtaters. Welcome back to another episode of War of Divisions. So, right before Wednesday, I think it's a good time to put out this video. And of course, the topic is going to be, should you or should you not summon for Warrior of Light? Alright, so I'm not going to make a video where I'm talking about stats and skills and all that. I already done it. I did it months ago actually, anticipating of this day. That's going to be tomorrow. And if you haven't done so, please check it out. It's going to be on the right corner, popping up right now. Just click on that link, it's going to take you to my review video. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say this first. I'm very biased because I love tanks. I love supporting units. I have this infatuation with being very bulky. I have this infatuation with doing large amount of heals. It makes me giggle inside when enemy units are trying to kill my units and they can't do it because one, they can take the damage, and two, a backup unit behind the back lines can heal up my tanks to full again, and you know, you're just staring at it and just like, it's very frustrating. And I enjoy that concept very much. The tanking spank, as they would call it in MMO world. In this game, the tanks can do a lot of damage, as can the supporting units. So, technically speaking, you don't need attackers to clear certain content. Of course, I already talked about that. The raid is designed in a very strategic way to promote specific units. Now, obviously, those are not the only way to defeat the raid, to farm the medals, to buy the items. But it's clear demonstration that the design from the developers is leaning towards that direction. The first raid was clearly geared towards Lucia. The second raid is clearly geared towards Venera. And it's okay. It is part of the marketing strategy in making money, which is at the end of the day what this is all about. You know, it's a company that's trying to make money. And I can't fault them for it. I can say I will enjoy it because I cannot take my tanky units and my healing units in and, you know, do what I want to do. But in its own right, that rating system is designed as an entity of its own. And as always, when you play games, you have the option to ignore it, because that doesn't harm you in any way if you choose to ignore it. Sure, you won't get maybe the recipes or whatever, but that's, you know, not the end of the world, right? And on the other hand, you can actually play the raid enough that you can just get some of the recipes to make the equipment. That being said, I think tanks and supporting units are going to be needed for almost everywhere else in this game. If you run into a 3-tank team in arena, you're going to have a very hard time killing them. I always stick by my guns that the tanky units and the supporting units are always going to outshine the attacking units over the long haul of the game. So you're going to have to really ask yourself one of two questions. First one being, do you need Warrior of Light or do you want Warrior of Light? There's a big difference there. We have a lot of tanks already in this game. We have Whisper, we have Rain, we have Engelbert. Those are going to be your 3 UR units. And then the lower rarity unit is going to be Mont, Dario, and Nasha, right? So just to name some of the lower rarity units. I believe those are the only tanky units. So you have 6 tanks to choose from. A couple of them are magic, most of them are physical. So technically speaking, you don't need Warrior of Light. You already have access to enough tanks currently on the global server that you don't quote unquote need them. But then really you have to ask yourself, do you want him, right? We say a lot of things like, I don't need to drive a Lamborghini, but I will want to drive a Lamborghini. Why not? If I'm given that option to do so, I would. But then here comes the second part of this situation. Can you afford him? And the thing is, he is a limited time unit, regardless if they're going to bring a rerun back. So you have to prepare that you need to save up a lot of gems to summon for him in the first place. Now, I personally don't know how they're going to do this. Are they going to do another Ramza situation in which we can straight out buy him? Or we can summon him times and get him the first copy from the mog shop. Regardless of what they do, it's going to cost us either real cash or lots and lots of free gems. Whatever the case is, you have to evaluate, is he truly worth the investment at this time? I will leave that up to you, obviously, because I'm biased. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I tell you to do something and you did it and you didn't like the results, you're going to naturally try to blame me. And I don't want people to do that. I want people to realize that needing to make your decision because your account is much different than mine. But having said all that, there's a huge bright light at the end of this Warrior of Light tunnel. Pun intended too. You know what I'm saying? After the Warrior Light situation migrates away and after 2 weeks from today, or tomorrow I guess, there's going to be a lot of different units you can look forward to. Now I'm going to actually make another video highlighting who I think are going to be some of the best units or the most desirable units in the future. And I'll leave that for a different day. But for the sake of argument, there's going to be lots of solid units coming up. Many more solid magical attackers, which many believe is going to create what they are calling the magic meta. So in this case, there's going to be even other collaborations coming in the future. In Japan, they just announced, actually, what am I saying? It's already out. The Final Fantasy IV collaboration. Granted the fact that there are well over 15 Final Fantasy games created, we can potentially see just a shit ton of collaborations under the Final Fantasy banner. So I think it goes without saying, there's just so much they can pull out of their goodie bag, right? But we know for a fact the Final Fantasy Tactics Part 2 will be returning very soon, because if the Japanese server timeline is any indication, we should be getting the Final Fantasy Tactics banner perhaps somewhere along the line of late September or maybe October. And then of course there are going to be the Christmas units that are coming, and so far they're all very powerful. So lots of things to look forward to after the Warrior of Light situation. To summarize, is Warrior Light going to change anything for you? Can you afford Warrior Light? And the last thing is, if you dump all your resources on Warrior Light, you're going to be broke. Pretty much, you're going to be broke. And there's a high chance you will not be ready for future collaborations, especially if you're a free-to-play player. I think it always goes without saying, if you're pay to win, you probably don't even need to watch videos, because none of this really matters. I always feel that if you're dropping hundreds of thousands of dollars, there's no reason to watch any of these content, because you're just going to do whatever it is that you're going to do anyways, right? You don't need someone to tell you if you should spend or not, because you're going to spend. You're going to go and get the units that you want. But anyways, point is, just be prepared to deal with your decision, to deal with your consequences of your decision. And if you're happy with being kind of sort of broke, but you have a Warrior of Light, awesome. But if you're going to always have the mentality of, I need to save, there is no end to that. You know what I'm saying? I think I need to nip it in the bud and say, saving is not the solution in this game. You can never save enough. The temptation, it's always there. Imagine like you're going to an adult entertainment situation, maybe in Amsterdam or something. You see this really beautiful woman, and you know, you got like 10 grand on you, and you like, this lady's charging you 2 grand, and you're like, well, all right, I'll spend 2 grand. But then as soon as you see her, you know, a couple of feet down the road, there's another, even perhaps in your mind, a more beautiful woman. But that lady charges 2,500. You're just thinking to yourself, man, this will never end. And that's what this game is. It will never end. It's never going to end. The saving aspect is never going to end. No matter how much you save, once you decide that you're going to use it all in one unit, then you got to start all over again. Then you're going to have to bypass all those beautiful women. And it's just going to keep going. The game doesn't wait for you. And that's the thing. So whatever decision you make, good luck with you. I hope that's the right decision for you. But end of the day, just be happy with that decision. That's all the time I have for this video. Thank you for watching. As always, take care of yourself and all your loved ones. Nashtaters out of here. Oh, hey, you're still here. Okay, great. I'm glad you decided to watch to the end, and I want to thank you for that. So, one of the viewers actually asked that one unit be reviewed before I was actually sitting down to decide which unit that I wanted to review. For those of you who picked it up, well, good for you, because Mashiri is in my front page. So she will be the next unit review for this week. And again, thank you all for watching. Take care.